Annabel Lee by Edgar Allan Poe. Read for LibriVox.org by Adam McCune. It was many and many a year ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden there lived, whom you may know by the name of Annabel Lee. And this maiden she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me. I was a child, and she was a child, in this kingdom by the sea, but we loved with a love that was more than love, I and my Annabel Lee, with the love that the winged seraphs of heaven coveted her and me. And this was the reason that long ago, in this kingdom by the sea, a wind blew out of a cloud, chilling my beautiful Annabel Lee, so that her high-born kinsman came and bore her away from me, to shut her up in a sepulchre in this kingdom by the sea. The angels, not half so happy in heaven, went envying her and me. Yes, that was the reason, as all men know in this kingdom by the sea, that the wind came out of the cloud by night, chilling and killing my Annabel Lee. But our love, it was stronger by far than the love of those who were older than we, of many far wiser than we, and neither the angels in heaven above, nor the demons down under the sea, can ever dissever my soul from the soul of the beautiful Annabel Lee. For the moon never beams without bringing me dreams of the beautiful Annabel Lee, and the stars never rise but I feel the bright eyes of the beautiful Annabel Lee. And so all the night tide I lie down by the side of my darling, my life and my bride, in her sepulchre there by the sea, in her tomb by the sounding sea. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Anniversary by John Donne, read by Anthony Ogus for LibriVox.org. The Anniversary. All kings and all their favourites, all glory of honours, beauties, wits, the sun itself which makes times as they pass, is elder by a year now than it was when thou and I first one another saw. All other things to their destruction draw, only our love hath no decay. This no tomorrow hath, nor yesterday, running it never runs from us away, but truly keeps his first, last, everlasting day. Two graves must hide thine and my course, if one might, death were no divorce. Alas, as well as other princes we, who prince enough in one another be, must leave at last in death these eyes and ears, oft fed with true oaths and with sweet salt tears. But souls where nothing dwells but love, all other thoughts being inmates, then shall prove this or a love increased thereabove, when bodies to their graves, souls from their graves remove. And then we shall be throughly blessed, but we no more than all the rest. Here upon earth we are kings, and none but we can be such kings, nor of such subjects be. Who is so safe as we, where none can do treason to us, except one of us two? True and false fears let us refrain, let us love nobly, and live and add again, years and years unto years, till we attain to write 80. This is the second of our reign. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
April is in my mistress' face by Thomas Morley. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston Tharp. April is in my mistress' face, and July in her eyes hath place. Within her bosom is September, but in her heart a cold December. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Blue and Grey by Francis Miles Finch. Read for LibriVox.org by April Gonzalez in Cavite, Philippines. By the flow of the inland river, whence the fleets of iron have fled, where the blades of the grape grass quiver, asleep are the ranks of the dead. Under the sword and the dew, waiting the judgment day. Under the one, the blue, under the other, the grey. These in the robbings of glory, those in the gloom of defeat, all with the battle blood gory, in the dust of eternity meet. Under the sword and the dew, waiting the judgment day. Under the laurel, the blue, under the willow, the grey. From the silence of sorrowful hours, the desolate mourners go, lovingly laden with flowers, alike for the friend and the foe. Under the sword and the dew, waiting the judgment day. Under the roses, the blue, under the lilies, the grey. So with an equal splendour, the morning sun rays fall, with a touch impartially tender, on the blossoms blooming for all. Under the sword and the dew, waiting the judgment day. Broidered with gold, the blue, mellowed with gold, the grey. So when the summer calleth, on the forest and field of grain, with an equal murmur falleth, the cooling drop of the rain. Under the sword and the dew, waiting the judgment day. Wet with the rain, the blue, wet with the rain, the grey. Sadly, but not with upbraiding, the generous deed was done. In the storm of the years that are fading, no braver battle was won. Under the sword and the dew, waiting the judgment day. Under the blossom, the blue, under the garlands, the grey. No more shall the war cry severe, or the winding rivers be red. They banish our anger forever, when they laurel the graves of our dead. Under the sword and the dew, waiting the judgment day. Love and tears for the blue, tears and love for the grey. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Come Up from the Fields, Father, by Walt Whitman. Read for LibriVox.org by Casper Nijssen. Come up from the fields, Father, here's a letter from our Pete. And come to the front door, Mother, here's a letter from thy dear son. Lo, 'tis autumn. Lo, where the trees, deeper green, yellower and redder, cool and sweeten Ohio's villages, with leaves fluttering in the moderate wind, where apples ripe in the orchards hang, and grapes on the trellised vines. Smell you the smell of the grapes on the vines? Smell you the buckwheat, where the bees were lately buzzing? Above all, lo, the sky, so calm, so transparent after the rain, and with wondrous clouds. Below, too, all calm, all vital and beautiful, and the farm prospers well. Down in the fields all prospers well, but now from the fields come, Father, come at the daughter's call. And come to the entry, Mother, to the front door come right away. Fast as she can she hurries, something ominous, her steps trembling. She does not tarry to smooth her hair, nor adjust her cap. Open the envelope quickly. Oh, this is not our son's writing, yet his name is signed. Oh, a strange hand writes for our dear son, O stricken mother's soul. All swims before her eyes, flashes with black. She catches the main words only, sentences broken. Gunshot wound in the breast, cavalry skirmish, taken to hospital. At present low, but will soon be better. Ah, now the single figure to me, amid all teeming and wealthy Ohio, with all its cities and farms, sickly white in the face, and dull in the head, very faint, by the jamb of a door leans. Grieve not so, dear mother, the just-grown daughter speaks through her sobs. The little sisters huddle around, speechless and dismayed. See, dearest mother, the letter says Pete will soon be better. Alas, poor boy, he will never be better, nor maybe needs to be better, that brave and simple soul. While they stand at home at the door, he is dead already, the only son is dead. But the mother needs to be better. She, with thin form, presently dressed in black, by days her meals untouched, then at night fitfully sleeping, often waking, in the midnight waking, weeping, longing with one deep longing. Oh, that she might withdraw unnoticed, silent from life, escape and withdraw, to follow, to seek, to be with her dear dead son. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Description of spring, wherein each thing renews, save only the lover, by Henry Howard, Earl of Surrey. Read for LibriVox.org by Martin Geeson, in Hazelmere, Surrey. The sort of season that bird and bloom forth brings, with grain hath clad the hill, and egg the vale. The nightingale with feathers new she sings, the turtle to her mark hath told her tale. Summer is come, for every spray now springs, the hart hath hung his old head on the pale, the buck in brake his winter coat he flings, the fishes flit with new repaired scale, the adder all her slough away she slings, the swift swallow pursueth the fleas small, the busy bee her honey now she mings. Winter is worn, that was the flower's bale. And thus I say among these pleasant things, each care decays, and yet my sorrow springs. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Drinking Song by J.K. Stephen, 1859–1892. Read for LibriVox.org by Verity Kendall. There are people I know to be found, who say and apparently think, that sorrow and care may be drowned by a timely consumption of drink. Does not man, these enthusiasts ask, most nearly approach the divine, when engaged in the soul-stirring task of filling his body with wine? Have beggars not been frequently known, when satisfied, soaked, and replete, to imagine their bench was a throne, and the civilized world at their feet? Lord Byron has finely described the remarkably soothing effect of liquor profusely imbibed on a soul that is shattered and wrecked. In short, if your body or mind, or your soul or your purse come to grief, you need only get drunk and you'll find complete and immediate relief. For myself I have managed to do without having recourse to this plan, so I can't write a poem for you, and you'd better get someone who can. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Epitaph of Henry Martyn by Thomas Babington Macaulay. Read for LibriVox.org by April Gonzalez in Cavite, Philippines. Here Martyn lies, in manhood's early bloom. The Christian hero finds a pagan tomb. Religion, soaring over her favourite son, points to the glorious trophies that he won. Eternal trophies, not with carnage red, not stained with tears by hapless captives shed, but trophies of the cross, for that dear name. Through every foul danger, death, and shame, onward he journeyed to a happier shore, where danger, death, and shame assault no more. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Evening Solace by Charlotte Bronte. Read for LibriVox.org by Rhonda Fetterman. The human heart has hidden treasures, in secret kept, in silence sealed. The thoughts, the hopes, the dreams, the pleasures, whose charms were broken if revealed. And days may pass in gay confusion, and nights in rosy riot fly, while lost in fame's or wealth's illusion, the memory of the past may die. But there are hours of lonely musing, such as in evening silence come, when soft as birds, their pinions closing, the heart's best feelings gather home. Then in our souls there seems to languish a tender grief that is not woe, and thoughts that once wrung groans of anguish now cause but some mild tears to flow. And feelings once as strong as passions float softly back, a faded dream. Our own sharp griefs and wild sensations the tale of others' sufferings seem. Oh, when the heart is freshly bleeding, how longs it for that time to be, when through the mist of years receding its woes but live in reverie. And it can dwell on moonlight glimmer, on evening shade and loneliness, and while the sky grows dim and dimmer feel no untold and strange distress, only a deeper impulse given by lonely hour and darkened room to solemn thoughts that soar to heaven, seeking a life and world to come. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Go, Lovely Rose by Edmund Waller. Read for LibriVox.org by Algie Pug, Perth, Western Australia. Go, lovely Rose, tell her that wastes her time and me, that now she knows when I resembled her to thee, how sweet and fair she seems to be. Tell her that's young, and shuns to have her graces spied, that hadst thou sprung in deserts where no men abide, thou must have uncommended died. Small is the worth of beauty from the light retired. Bid her come forth, suffer herself to be desired, and not blush so to be admired. Then die, that she the common fate of all things rare may read in thee, how small a part of time they share, that are so wondrous sweet and fair. End of poem. This recording is in a public domain.
Hidden Flame by John Dryden. Read for LibriVox.org by Martin Geeson. I feed a flame within, which so torments me, that it both pains my heart, and yet contents me. 'Tis such a pleasing smart, and I so love it, that I had rather die than once remove it. Yet he, for whom I grieve, shall never know it. My tongue does not betray, nor my eyes show it. Not a sigh, not a tear, my pain discloses, but they fall silently, like dew on roses. Thus, to prevent my love from being cruel, my heart's the sacrifice, as 'tis the fuel. And while I suffer this to give him quiet, My faith rewards my love, though he deny it. On his eyes will I gaze, and there delight me. While I conceal my love, no frown can fright me. To be more happy I dare not aspire, nor can I fall more low, mounting no higher. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Home Burial by Robert Frost. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston Tharp. He saw her from the bottom of the stairs before she saw him. She was starting down, looking back over her shoulder at some fear. She took a doubtful step and then undid it to raise herself and look again. He spoke, advancing toward her. "What is it you see from up there always? For I want to know." She turned and sank upon her skirts at that, and her face changed from terrified to dull. He said to gain time, "What is it you see?" mounting until she cowered under him. "I will find out now. You must tell me, dear." She, in her place, refused him any help with the least stiffening of her neck and silence. She let him look, sure that he wouldn't see, blind creature. And a while he didn't see, but at last he murmured, "Oh," and again, "Oh." "What is it? What?" she said. "Just that I see." "You don't," she challenged. "Tell me what it is." "The wonder is I didn't see it once. I never noticed it from here before. I must be wanted to it. That's the reason. The little graveyard where my people are. So small the window frames the whole of it. Not so much larger than a bedroom, is it? There are 3 stones of slate and 1 of marble, broad-shouldered little slabs there in the sunlight on the side hill. We haven't to mind those. But I understand it is not the stones, but the child's mound. Don't, she cried. She withdrew, shrinking from beneath his arm that rested on the banister, and slid downstairs, and turned on him with such a daunting look. He said twice over before he knew himself, "Can't a man speak of his own child he's lost?" "Not you. Oh, where's my hat? Oh, I don't need it. I must get out of here. I must get air. I don't know rightly whether any man can." "Amy, don't go to someone else this time. Listen to me. I won't come down the stairs." He sat and fixed his chin between his fists. "There's something I should like to ask you, dear." "You don't know how to ask it." "Help me, then." Her fingers moved the latch for all reply. "My words are nearly always an offense. I don't know how to speak of anything so as to please you, but I might be taught, I should suppose. I can't say I see how. A man must partly give up being a man with women folk. We could have some arrangement by which I'd bind myself to keep hands off anything special you've a mind to name, though I don't like such things twixt those that love. 2 that don't love can't live together without them, but 2 that do can't live together with them." She moved the latch a little. Don't go. Don't carry it to someone else this time. Tell me about it if it's something human. Let me into your grief. I'm not so much unlike other folks as your standing there apart would make me out. Give me my chance. I do think, though, you overdo it a little. What was it brought you up to think it the thing to take your mother-loss of a first child so inconsolably in the face of love? You'd think his memory might be satisfied. There you go, sneering now. I'm not. You make me angry. I'll come down to you. God, what a woman! And it's come to this. A man can't speak of his own child that's dead. You can't because you don't know how. If you had any feelings, you that dug with your own hand, how could you, his little grave? I saw you from that very window there, making the gravel leap and leap in air, leap up like that, and land so lightly and roll back down the mound beside the hole. I thought, who is that man? I don't know you. And I crept down the stairs and up the stairs to look again, and still your spade kept lifting. Then you came in. I heard your rumbling voice out in the kitchen, and I don't know why, but I went near to see with my own eyes. You could sit there with the stains on your shoes of the fresh earth from your own baby's grave and talk about your everyday concerns. You had stood the spade up against the wall outside there in the entry, where I saw it. I shall laugh, the worst laugh I ever laughed. I'm cursed! God, if I don't believe I'm cursed! I can repeat the very words you were saying. 3 foggy mornings and 1 rainy day will rot the best birch fence a man can build. Think of it. Talk like that at such a time. What had how long it takes a birch to rot to do with what was in the darkened parlor? You couldn't care. The nearest friends can go with anyone to death, come so far short they might as well not try to go at all. No, from the time when one is sick to death one is alone, and he dies more alone. Friends make pretense of following to the grave, but before one is in it, their minds are turned and making the best of their way back to life and living people and things they understand. But the world's evil. I won't have grief so if I can change it. Oh, I won't. I won't. There. You have said it all, and you feel better. You won't go now. You're crying. Close the door. The heart's gone out of it. Why keep it up? Amy, there's someone coming down the road. You. Oh, you think the talk is all. I must go somewhere out of this house. How can I make you? If you do. She was opening the door wider. Where do you mean to go? First tell me that. I'll follow and bring you back by force. I will. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Invictus by William Ernest Henley. Read for LibriVox.org by Chris. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I think whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how strait the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Of the Last Verses in a Book by Edmund Waller. Read for LibriVox.org by Algie Pug, Perth, Western Australia. When we for age could neither read nor write, the subject made us able to indite. The soul with nobler resolutions decked, the body stooping, does herself erect. No mortal parts are requisite to raise her that unbodied can her Maker praise. The seas are quiet when the winds give o'er, so calm are we when passions are no more. For then we know how vain it was to boast of fleeting things so certain to be lost. Clouds of affection from our younger eyes conceal their emptiness which age descries. The soul's dark cottage, battered and decayed, lets in new light through chinks that time has made. Stronger by weakness, wiser men become, as they draw near to their eternal home. Leaving the old, both worlds at once they view, that stand upon the threshold of the new. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Listeners by Walter de la Mare. Read for LibriVox.org by Rhonda Fetterman. Is anybody there? Said the traveller, knocking on the moonlit door. And his horse in the silence chomped the grasses of the forest's ferny floor. and a bird flew up out of the turret above the traveller's head, and he smote upon the door a second time. "Is there anybody there?" he said. But no one descended to the traveller. No head from the leaf-fringed sill leaned over and looked into his grey eyes, where he stood perplexed and still. But only a host of phantom listeners that dwelt in the lone house then stood listening in the quiet of the moonlight to that voice from the world of men, stood thronging the faint moonbeams on the dark stair that goes down to the empty hall, hearkening in an air stirred and shaken by the lonely traveller's call. And he felt in his heart their strangeness, their stillness answering his cry, while his horse moved, cropping the dark turf 'neath the starred and leafy sky. For he suddenly smote the door even louder and lifted his head. "Tell them I came, and no one answered, that I kept my word," he said. Never the least stir made the listeners, though every word he spake fell echoing through the shadowiness of the still house from the one man left awake. Aye, they heard his foot upon the stirrup, and the sound of iron on stone, and how the silence surged softly backward when the plunging hoofs were gone. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Logical Vegetarian by G.K. Chesterton. Read for LibriVox.org by Noel Badrian, County Offaly, Ireland. You will find me drinking rum, like a sailor in a slum. You will find me drinking beer, like a Bavarian. You will find me drinking gin, in the lowest kind of inn, because I am a rigid vegetarian. So I cleared the inn of wine, and I tried to climb the sign, and I tried to hail the constable as Marian. But he said I couldn't speak, and he bowled me to the beak, because I was a happy vegetarian. Oh, I knew a Dr. Gluck, and his nose it had a hook, and his attitudes were anything but Aryan. So I gave him all the pork that I had upon a fork, because I am myself a vegetarian. I am silent in the club, I am silent in the pub, I am silent on a bally peak in Darien, for I stuff away for life, shoving peas in with a knife, because I am at heart a vegetarian. No more the milk of cows shall pollute my private house than the milk of the wild mares of the barbarian. I will stick to port and sherry, for they are so very, very, so very, very, very vegetarian. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
No Thank You, John by Christina Georgina Rossetti. Read for LibriVox.org by Denise Blake. I never said I loved you, John. Why will you tease me day by day, and wax a weariness to think upon, with always do and pray? You know I never loved you, John. No fault of mine made me your toast. Why will you haunt me with a face as wan as shows an hour-old ghost? I dare say Meg or Moll would take pity upon you if you'd ask. And pray, don't remain single for my sake, who can't perform that task. I have no heart? Perhaps I have not. But then you're mad to take offence that I don't give you what I have not got. Use your own common sense. Let bygones be bygones. Don't call me false who owed not to be true. I'd rather answer no to 50 Johns than answer yes to you. Let's mar our pleasant days no more. Songbirds of passage, days of youth. Catch at today, forget the days before. I'll wink at your untruth. Let us strike hands as hearty friends, no more, no less, and friendship's good. Only don't keep in view ulterior ends, and points not understood in open treaty.
Rise above quibbles and shuffling off and on. Here's friendship for you if you like, but love? No, thank you, John. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Seesaw by Owen Meredith. Read for LibriVox.org by Noel Badrian, County Offaly, Ireland. She was a harlot and I was a thief, but we loved each other beyond belief. She lived in the garret and I in the kitchen, and love was all that we both were rich in. When they sent her at last to the hospital, both day and night my tears did fall. They fell so fast that to dry their grief I borrowed my neighbour's handkerchief. The world which, as it's brutally taught, still judges the act in lieu of the thought, found my hand in my neighbour's pocket, and clapped me at once under chain and locket. When they asked me about it, I told them plain, love it was that had turned my brain. How should I heed where my hand had been, when my heart was dreaming of Celestine? 12 friends were so struck by my woeful air, that they sent me abroad for a change of air. And to prove me the kindness of their intent, they sent me a charge of the government. When I came back again, whom think you I meet, but Celestine here in Regent Street, in a carriage adorned with a coronet, and a dress all flounces and lace and jet. For her carriage drew up at the bookseller's door, where they publish those nice little books for the poor. I took off my hat, and my face she knew, and gave me a sermon by Mr. Bellew. But she gave me, God bless her, along with the book, such a sweet sort of smile, such a heavenly look, that as long as I live I shall never forget Celestine in her coach with the Earl's coronet. There's a game that men play at in great London town, where some must go up, sir, and some must go down. And since the mud sticks to your coat if you fall, why the strongest among us keep close to the wall. But some day, soon or late, in my shoes I shall stand, more exalted than any great duke in the land, a clean shirt on my back, and a rose in my coat, and a collar conferred by the Queen round my throat. And I know that my Celestine will never forget to be there in her coach with my lord's coronet. She will smile to me then as she smiled to me now. I shall nod to her gaily and make her my bow. Before I rejoin all those famous old thieves, whose deeds have immortalized Rome, sir, and Greece, whose names are inscribed upon history's leaves, like my own on the books of the city police. Alexander and Caesar and other great robbers, who once tried to pocket the whole universe, not to speak of our own parliamentary jobbers, with their hands, bless them all, in the popular purse. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Sigh No More by William Shakespeare, 1564 to 1616. Read for LibriVox.org by Verity Kendall. Sigh no more, ladies, sigh no more. Men were deceivers ever. One foot in sea and one on shore, to one thing constant never. Then sigh not so, but let them go, and be you blithe and bonny, converting all your sounds of woe into hey nonny nonny. Sing no more ditties, sing no mo' of dumps so dull and heavy. The fraud of men was ever so, since summer first was leavy. Then sigh not so, but let them go, and be you blithe and bonny, converting all your sounds of woe into hey nonny nonny. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Sonnet 18. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Chris. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. Sometime too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dimmed, and every fair from fair sometime declines, by chance or nature's changing course untrimmed. But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou owst, nor shall death brag thou wander'st in his shade, when in eternal lines to time thou grow'st. So long as men can breathe, or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
To One in Paradise by Edgar Allan Poe. Read for LibriVox.org by Casper Nijssen. Thou wast that all to me, love, for which my soul did pine, a green isle in the sea, love, a fountain and a shrine, all wreathed with fairy fruits and flowers, and all the flowers were mine. Ah, dream too bright to last, ah, starry hope, that didst arise but to be overcast. A voice from out the future cries, on, but over the past, dim gulf, my spirit hovering lies, mute, motionless, aghast. For alas, alas me, the light of life is o'er, no more, no more, no more. Such language holds the solemn sea to the sands upon the shore. Shall bloom the thunder-blasted tree, or the stricken eagle soar. And all my days are trances, and all my nightly dreams are where thy grey eye glances, and where thy footstep gleams, in what ethereal dances, by what eternal streams. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Wreck of the Hesperus by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Read for LibriVox.org by Muriel. It was the schooner Hesperus that sailed the wintry sea, and the skipper had taken his little daughter to bear him company. Blue were her eyes as the fairy flax, her cheeks like the dawn of day, and her bosom white as the hawthorn buds that open the month of May. The skipper he stood beside the helm, his pipe was in his mouth, and he watched how the veering flaw did blow, the smoke now west, now south. Then up and spoke an old sailor, had sailed to the Spanish Main. I pray thee, put into yonder port, for I fear a hurricane. Last night the moon had a golden ring, and tonight no moon we see. The skipper, he blew a whiff from his pipe, and a scornful laugh laughed he. Colder and louder blew the wind, a gale from the northeast. The snow fell hissing in the brine, and the billows frothed like yeast. Down came the storm, and smote amain the vessel in its strength. She shuddered and paused like a frightened steed, then leaped her cable's length. Come hither, my little daughter, and do not tremble so, for I can weather the roughest gale that ever wind did blow. He wrapped her warm in his seaman's cloak against the stinging blast. He cut a rope from a broken spar and bound her to the mast. "Oh, father, I hear the church bells ring! Oh, say what may it be?" "'Tis a foghorn on a rock-bound coast," and he steered for the open sea. "Oh, father, I hear the sound of guns! Oh, say what may it be?" "'Tis a ship in distress that cannot live in such an angry sea." "Oh, father, I see a gleaming light! Oh, say what may it be?" But her father answered never a word, a frozen corpse was he. Lashed to the helm, all stiff and stark, with his face turned to the skies, The lantern gleamed through the gleaming snow on his fixed and glassy eyes. Then the maiden clasped her hands and prayed that saved she might be, and she thought of Christ who stilled the wave on the Sea of Galilee. So fast through the midnight dark and drear, through the hurrying sleet and snow, like a sheeted ghost the vessel swept towards the reef of Norman's Woe. And ere the fitful gust between, a sound came from the land. 'Twas the sound of the trampling surf on the rocks and hard sea sand. The breakers were right beneath her bows, she drifted a dreary wreck, and a whooping billow swept the crew like icicles from her deck. She struck with the white and fleecy waves, like soft as carded wool, but the cruel rocks, they gored her side like the horns of an angry bull. Her rattling shrouds all sheathed in ice, and masts went by the board. Like a vessel of glass she stove and sank, ho ho, the breakers roared. At daybreak, on a bleak sea beach, a fisherman stood aghast, to see the form of a maiden fair lashed close to a drifting mast. The salt sea was frozen on her breast, the salt tears were in her eyes, and he saw her hair like the brown seaweed on the billows fall and rise. Such was the wreck of the Hesperus in the midnight and the snow. Christ save us all from a death like this on the reef of Norman's Woe.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.